Happy New Year. It's been a minute. I'm Andrea. I'm Stucky, the divorce liberator, and your favorite divorce coach. Welcome to my channel. Make sure that you subscribe and like this video. And also let me know what it is that you would like to hear about in terms of divorce. So listen, today I want to begin a series. This is January, and January is divorce month. Just in case you didn't know. A lot of people file for divorce in January. Oftentimes there's many stressors prior to the holiday season, and people just choose not to go through the holiday season with the holiday stress and talking to their spouse about divorce or beginning the divorce process, if you will. And so January is a very popular month, actually the first 3 months of the year where people file for divorce, right? And so as a divorce coach, having been divorced twice, I know a little bit about this process, okay? I want to talk about the top 10 reasons people get divorced. The top 10 reasons why people get divorced. And so if you're watching this channel, whether you're divorced, married, separated, maybe you've been divorced for years, I think it's just a great topic to discuss where we can either, look at ourselves, either currently if we're in a relationship, if we're in a new marriage. For those of you who are married and have been married for some time, even if it's happy, right? Sometimes there are places that we slip up and what can cause some challenges in our marital relationship. And so I'm going to start talk about that. And today I want to talk about, this is really in no order. So I want to say that there is no specific order in terms of my research. I think in my experience, right, most people find one of the challenges of causes of divorce is infidelity. And that is what I'm going to talk about here on today. So yes, infidelity does a lot to a relationship. Whether you're married or in a long-term relationship or an exclusive relationship, infidelity breaks trust. And when we think about healthy relationships, we understand that some of the components or main components of a healthy relationship is trust, honesty, communication, commitment, and even respect. And when infidelity happens, it really begins to break that trust piece of the relationship. Oftentimes, depending on the nature of the infidelity, whether it's long-term, whether it's a one-night stand, a lot of times dishonesty is involved, right? So now you're breaking two of those, major pillars of a healthy relationship. And in order to move forward, those things have to be rebuilt if they're moving forward, right? Or if they're not, okay, right? So trust, infidelity it's a beast. And I can talk about it because I went through it in my first marriage. So I had a very young marriage. My first marriage, I was married at the age of 22, and we were in the military, and that was our thing, right? But fast forward about 3 years into the marriage, we did have a situation where my ex was unfaithful that produced a child out of wedlock. Okay. And so I understand this topic. I understand what infidelity does to a relationship. I understand the concept of forgiveness. And so I want to talk a little bit about that today. I have some notes here because I want to make sure that I get these points across to you as we talk about infidelity causing divorce. So when infidelity happens, it breaks that trust bond in the relationship, right? And depending on, as I said earlier, the nature of that breakdown, what type of situation happened, that trust has been broken. A lot of times what happens is, when people are unfaithful, it promotes dishonesty in the relationship. And oftentimes, it can go both ways. It can be men who are unfaithful and women who are unfaithful as well. I've talked to, being in this space as a divorce coach, infidelity has been a very common theme in the women that I have worked with over the past 6 years, right? That there has been some level of infidelity in the relationship prior to the divorce. And I could also speak on that because I had that situation happen in my first marriage. Now, I do want to include, when we talk about infidelity, that we're also talking about emotional affairs, not just the sexual aspect of a relationship. No one wants their mate, their spouse, to be confiding and entertaining emotionally another individual. That is what the marriage substance is all about. right? You sharing who you are with your husband, with your wife, getting to know each other. And as you grow to become one, right? When you get married, God says you're one, but we know that as you are still growing in a marriage, right? You're learning more and more and more about your spouse, right? And so that when that is broken, it is very, very tough. And I know that oftentimes, when we read books and we see things on television, sometimes people don't lump in an emotional affair. But let me tell you, an emotional affair is a level of infidelity because you are being dishonest and you are giving the emotional aspect of yourself to someone else. And sometimes I think for the person who's been cheated on, if you will, sometimes that's worse in their minds than the actual sexual act of infidelity. So let me move on here today. So, infidelity, emotional affairs, they break the trust bond, and it brings a spirit of rejection to the spouse who the other person was unfaithful to, right? Who receives the infidelity. And let me tell you about this, and I can relate. I was a very young woman at the time. I was pregnant when the infidelity happened, and think about being 25. Right. And some of you may be watching this, you may be in your 20s, you may be in your 30s, but I was 25 and I had just had my oldest child, who was 2 weeks old, when I was confronted by the other woman. So imagine that. I had previously lost my father within the last 30 days. So that was a huge time of transition for me. And I'm not going to talk about my story here on today. I'm going to share a little bit about it as I am right now. But I talk about that in other platforms in my communities and my coaching groups and things of that nature when it avails itself. I've also written about it in a couple of my books, I believe, right? But it brings on a spirit of rejection. So the person who has been cheated on feels rejected. And initially you think that it's something that you've done, right? You think that it's something that you omitted in the relationship or that you weren't doing. But listen, every individual has a choice. Even if you weren't the best spouse, and we know, if you've ever been married, you know that both people have challenges. None of us are perfect, right? There's always a choice. There's always a decision. And a lot of times we have to learn how to be proactive to keep ourselves out of certain situations and circumstances that could compromise our relationships. And I think that just being around a little bit, not only having been divorced twice, not only, working with countless women behind the scenes, but also just living life in general. I think that there are a lot of things we can do as individuals to be proactive to prevent infidelity or, unnecessary situations that can happen, right? In terms of infidelity. Divorcees have a hard time trusting again if they come out of a marriage due to infidelity. Right now, I know if you stay in the marriage and, maybe you get some help and some counseling, that you're able to work through that and you're still in the marriage. But when you come out of the marriage, it is a challenge to trust again. And that is part of the healing work that we have to learn to do and understand our role in that past relationship, our role in the infidelity, whether we were the unfaithful party or our spouse was the unfaithful party, right? We have to take a whole look of that. And we also have to understand why we feel the way that we feel. So if our self-esteem begins to diminish, if our trust issues, and they will, your trust issues will change, right? But you have to understand how and what trust is all about. Right? And oftentimes when you're meeting new people, you have to give them a clean slate. Right? You can't bring old baggage, into a new relationship. So that's for you who've been divorced or who have come out of an unfaithful relationship. You have to get your healing. You have to do your inner work, right, to understand that aspect of infidelity and also learning how to trust again. And a lot of it has to do with trusting yourself. And if we're honest with ourselves, and I definitely know in my situation, not all situations, but in my situation, my first marriage, I didn't know my first husband very well. Right? I really did not. I did not know him very well. I was young. I didn't know what to look for, what questions to ask. I didn't take my time, to get to know the character of this person and what they value and what they believe. And so that's something that I would like to share as well, because I've been out of my second marriage for 11 years. I've been in the dating scene. I'm currently in a relationship. And you want to give yourself time when you're getting to learn other people, right? And sometimes it's easy to kind of get caught up when you meet someone that's great, that's good, because you came out of such a negative relationship, right? But you have to be very, very careful, because just because someone is good, they may not necessarily be good for you, right? Taking away nothing from them. But I just wanted to come and talk a little bit about infidelity. I'm looking over my notes here. I just wanted to, yeah, and as you move forward, here's the deal. Here's the caveat. For those of you who've experienced someone being unfaithful to you, as I said a little bit early, healing is necessary. Because infidelity can break you down. Like I said, especially for women, we think it's something that we haven't done. We think it's an area that, maybe we're not looking right, or we put on extra weight, or we lost some weight, or we're too busy with the kids, or whatever that is. And the reality is, it's not us. Every individual has a choice, right? Even when the marriage is rocky, it is our responsibility of being in a relationship to get help, whether we get help for ourselves, whether we have marital counseling, right? We come to some solace, if you will, and work on the areas of the relationship that are sort of dwindling or going astray, right? We all have that responsibility. And so I just wanted to come today and talk just briefly about infidelity being one of the causes of divorce. It's January. Whenever you're watching this, I don't know, but when I'm taping this, it's January, and January is divorce month. It is one of the months where most people, the majority of people, if you will, file for a divorce. So again, I'm Andrea M. Stuckey, the Divorce Liberator, your favorite divorce coach. Listen, catch the next video as we continue to talk about the top 10. This is just 10 reasons that cause divorce. Have a wonderful day. Make sure you subscribe, comment below, and like this video, and I'll see you next time.